I'm starting.
Fuck up and yen yen.
Wait,
Okay.
what are you reading, Sarge?
Mending Hearts by Ace or Valen's Ace. Am I saying that right?
I'm just say ace at this point.
Fuck you.
Slob on it. Yes, yeah, yeah.
You got someone for that. Summary. Chris hasn't been in control for several days. Something is constantly digging at them, and while they know it exists, they don't know what it is. And resisting it is driving them up a wall. They're one uncontrollable step away from shattering into a million pieces. Death screen reference? Despite being unsure of their own autonomy, one thing they know for certain is that they are best friends with someone they never thought they would be friends with at all. Susie has never felt as happy whenever she is hanging out with Chris, especially in Dark World. Even considering Chris as a friend after barely a day of being with them. As of late, though, she's had this unnerving feeling that something is wrong with them, as if an unexplainable barrier has formed between the both of them, and she's beginning to doubt their connection. As Chris reaches their breaking point and questions just who they are, while Susie begins to question what they are to each other as her own insecurities begin to bubble. Can they somehow mend each other's hearts? And just how much do they really mean to each other? Chapter 1, Sixth Sense. Notes. I'll cut to the chase and say I've wanted to do something for Deltarune for a while now. If you've grown accustomed to my other works, expect this to be a bit different. If this is your first time with me, hello, and I hope you'll enjoy what we have to play here, what we have at play here. I plan on making something just as special as I usually try to do, except expect Cruzy. We love Cruzy in this household. So do we. Anyway, I hope you enjoy Mending Hearts. See the end of chapter for more notes. It is still in control. I can barely acknowledge what is going on whenever it is dragging me around. My senses clouded with a fog I can't get rid of. I can only sit and watch. Watch as it tells me what to say, what to do, what to feel. Like I was backseat of my own body. I've only managed to force myself to act of my own volition every now and then. When I think it is caught off guard, I can't make the hard decisions. Something is different now, though. I can feel everything. I can't control myself, but I can feel. Ralsei is right next to me, and so is Susie. And as I feel in control again, I remember everything that led me to this moment. Susie, Ralsei, Noel, Birdley, Queen, Spampton. It was then I realized. Oopsie. It was then I remembered being pushed into a corner, my legs feeling like stilts made out of twigs as I stared down the can about to kill me. And yet, I'm still forced to stay neutral, despite how much I wanted to just cry. How much I just wanted to yell or force my mouth into a scowl. How much I just wanted to let go of my sword I had an iron grip on. I thought I was going to die, and I wasn't even allowed the choice to give up. Susie and Rousey managed to save me at the last possible moment. before I knew it, we were on a track. All three of us barreling towards a dangling Spamton. Dangling. Strings. He's held only by strings. All you gotta do is big. Then we'll be the one making the calls, Chris. Making the calls? It was then I heard my own voice, my own cold and sickeningly neutral tone. Susie, Ralsei, cut strings. I always felt so gross letting whatever it is speak or do things on my behalf. I wondered if anybody found out. I wondered if anybody found it off whenever it spoke. Nobody has questioned it so far. At least, not enough to figure out anything's wrong. Why would they? I've always been the weird kid. The odd one out, both in race and how I act. Why would anyone question anything out of the ordinary if that was just who I was from the start? My body suddenly moves on its own as several faces, blasts, and other miscellaneous objects attempt to strike me. A part of me wanted to get hit, only because I knew it would also hurt it. Again, I speak monotonously. Susie, Ralsei, cut strings. Despite not being in control, I can feel everything. Unlike nearly every other moment before this. The only other moment being... Remind me who says this? Oh, spare me the heroics. Was that Queen?
That would be no, that would be King.
Oh, spare me the heroics. I was close to dying again. We all were. Me, Ralsei, Susie. Susie was about to be killed. And just as I saw the spades darting her way, I used every ounce of willpower I had to block it. It was then that I felt back in control. Felt the feedback of the impact of my arms as the shield took the brunt force of the attack. My arms jolting pain straight into my neurons as my legs somehow remained steadfast in staying in place as my feet dug into the ground below me. It hurt. A lot. What was scarier was that despite me wanting to move, despite me wanting to protect my friend, I was scared. I was so scared. This was it, I thought. This is where we die. The only solace I had being that I did something I'd wanted to do. Saving my friend. I felt like that right now. Even if I'm not in control, and even if I see my arms not moving an inch, still gripping the sword with a fiery intensity, I feel weak. My chest wants to quiver and tremble, but is forced to stay stationary and leveled in its breathing. Spamton continues to babble on about strings, control, freedom. Strings, control, freedom. His seemingly insane ramblings seem to confuse and scare both Ralsei and Susie, judging from how intense they both looked. I was petrified. Not even it could control my face anymore as I grimaced. My arms finally managing to tremble in genuine fear. In the genuine fear I felt staring him down as we continued to barrel down the seemingly endless track. In the worst possible way, it all made sense to me. We're both constrained, just in different ways. But is this what I can become? Will I go insane too? Is this all that's for me? What if it is the only reason I'm sane? Well, I hated it controlling me. Maybe it's for the best. Its choices haven't been too violating. I actually managed to make friends with Susie, and I thought she hated my guts. But I wonder if I like Susie or Rousey, or if it has managed to convince me that I do through its own actions. I don't know. I don't like that I don't know. It's for that and 100 other reasons I hate it. It's taken away my real independence, and I'm starting to doubt just how much control I have. Even when I am in my own body again. It can take over whenever it wants. I feel trapped, like a bird when it's let free, only to realize it's just stuck in a zoo. A loud bang is heard in front of me, and through my eyes I see Spampton fell on the floor, motionless. While he seemed dead, he managed to sputter to life with a few pleasantries and words of encouragement. When did he fall? When were we okay? One moment I could have sworn we were all struggling to some extent, and now it's over. Lapses of time are common, but I don't just forget entire fights, especially when I felt so alive during it. Am I starting to forget? It seems, after all, I couldn't be anything more than a simple puppet. Again with the puppetry. It'd make my skin furl if I was in control. With that, he's gone. Rousey and Susie begin to talk as it drags me along, as it always has. I can barely hear them. But they seem to be talking about what just happened. And as I'm dragged along, I try and mull over it all, despite how much it tries to stop me. I know it's only been days, but I feel like it's been months or years. Is anything I've done real? Are any of the connections I've made so far even real? Nearly all of them have been at least built upon its choices. Even if I ever manage to regain control, and I mean really regain control, would I even be recognized? I don't want to act like how I'm forced to, but I don't want to lose my friends. But at the same time, what if I want people to know? I said it myself. I was always weird. I was always the one everyone questioned. If I ever was myself permanently again, people noticed, I'd finally be someone worth the effort. But all of this is just one giant if. All over something I have nearly zero control over. It came into my body and just made it home. What if I'm like this forever? Why me? Was it because I am that way? I know it's different than me. I know it isn't me. I was tired of it being a part of me, to the point that even when it felt as if every inch of me was being torn apart, I somehow managed to rip it out of me. I know where it is now. It's completely separate from me. But why me? Why anything? Why am I here? heavy weight falls on my shoulder, and as it turns my head for me, I see Susie has placed her hand on me, holding me in place. Despite the alienation of Susie doing anything physical, I did always like whenever she rarely touched me. It made me feel a bit less alone. Quieter than I expected, she speaks. Hey, Chris. Something halts her words. Whatever it is scares me too. Nothing scared Susie. Not even the king scared her. She was cool like that. It finally decides to look up for me where Susie stared at me in that way I haven't ever seen her. Stared at me in a way I haven't ever seen her ever. Let me get a third run through on that. Stared at me in a way I haven't ever seen her ever. Except maybe back when we returned from our first trip in Dark World. After exiting Card Kingdom. She leans down near my face as my body is fully turned to face hers, as she says something that is only audible to me. You okay? Oh, that's artwork. I felt it. For once, I actually felt it attempt to force something out of me. At every other instance, whether or not I agreed, it always seemed fluid with whatever came out of my mouth. My throat clenched as I actually felt the answer it wanted me to say. A resounding yes. I stuffed it down with everything I had. And again, it tried. As if trying to subconsciously convince me that I did want to say yes. But I'm not okay. I almost never am. And especially not now. And I'll be damned if I let anything make me lie to one of my best friends. Despite the futility of it by now, it tried one more time, and I was starting to get mad at its advances. Can't you learn to take a hint? If I can't say no, I won't say anything at all. I feel my entire being begin to quake as the erupting burst of my real answer was beginning to surface. The struggle to get it out, making my vision go blurry and my hands curl into balls, digging into the steel of my outfit. You won't take this from me. Susie shook me a bit as her face grew from concern to irritation. Chris, I asked if you were okay. No! Susie immediately jolted back, clearly shocked at what escaped me. My throat immediately told me that I made a mistake, feeling a sudden burning sensation overtake it as I finally heave in and out from overexerting myself. Tears I had barely even noticed trickling down my face as the saline solution quickly drags across my cheeks. When was the last time I even spoke? Let alone in that manner. And I mean, really me. I'd nearly forgotten what I really sounded like. And it didn't sound right. It sounded so hoarse and dry. Like my throat was lined with sandpaper and my singular word was water attempting to coast by. I didn't feel it anymore. At least for this short moment. I took the chance at real autonomy to look at Susie. She looked scared, sad, and even more worried than she appeared seconds ago. She shouldn't be like that. She's never scared. And it was all because of me. I let my head fall, my gaze falling to the floor as I heard Rousey run over to us.
Chris, are you okay?
While Rousey was while Rousey always worried, he sounded particularly shaken. A tangible quiver in his voice that hurt to hear on the same degree as it felt to see Susie that way. Every muscle in my body couldn't keep still. My limbs trembling and teeth clenched in so many emotions that I couldn't decipher which ones were which. All I know is that I felt horrible. And despite the pleas for wanting control, I didn't know what to say. If I wanted to say anything at all. What do I want? I can feel it coming back to take the reins, my arms beginning to go rigid. With what little control I have left, I made the conscious choice to stay silent. Seeing Susie so shaken made the deepest pit of my insides stir and churn. While I'd rather keep my autonomy, if I can't stop it, then I can hold some solace that I defied whatever it is to speak my mind, unclouded with anything it might have wanted me to say. I managed to tell Susie that I wasn't okay. I finally talked to her, unabashed and unbounded, as little as it was. I told her the truth. I saw Rousey run over to us as I felt the last ounce of control leave me, as my tense limbs fell to numbness and my face straightened back into neutrality. The only thing I think I have some control over is what isn't said. My throat's still burning. Rousey and Susie begin talking in front of me, but I can't hear them clearly. It being muffled as if I was even deeper into my own mind after being given an ounce of freedom. The only thing I remember is Susie's face entering my peripheral as my hand lands itself on my shoulder, as her hand lands itself on my shoulder again. This time, a lot softer than before. I like that feeling. Susie was usually pretty gruff with her mannerisms, so this moment felt special, even if I'm not in proper control of myself. Unfortunately, or fortunately, that is the last thing I can properly recall. The rest of the events in Cyberworld were muddled, only being able to remember bits and pieces from our encounter in battle with Queen. Seeing the fight firsthand was scary. All of them were, in a way. But I didn't feel any of my emotions make an attempt to breach its control. I wonder if it's starting to actively hold me back now. As if its mere existence was enough to suppress me, just enough to hinder me, but not enough to fully subdue me. Guess I proved it wrong. Now you have to actually try and keep me back. Not by choice. I internally smile at the thought. However, still a bit worried that my actions made it actively shove me further away. I hope that's not the case. Much like I had expected, my mind remained cloudy until after I had closed the fountain. Well, more like after it closed the fountain. And everything hit me like a tidal wave. Noelle managing to stick it up to Queen, Birdley managing to actually apologize, albeit in his own special way, and then Rousey explaining the roaring. I wasn't necessarily keen on the idea of staying with Rousey in Dark World, Mostly because that's when it decided to take the reins away from me. But I realized Susie had a point. Things were better there. We made friends with people I would have never met otherwise. Lancer and Birdley come to mind, even if that featherbrain gets on our nerves sometimes. I even got to hang out with Noelle again. I miss when I used to do that all the time. She honestly impressed me with how well she managed herself. She was always pretty timid. And that doesn't include Susie. I never really thought anything would change from what always was. That being, there would always be a sense of animosity between us, at least with her to me. Obviously, that changed. The events of Dark World changing what I thought of her entirely, and I think it's changed what she thought of me too. While I was fine if nothing changed between us, now that we're friends, I don't think I would have wanted to have kept it that way anymore. She was always so cool, funny, and as little room as I have to talk, very awkward, but shockingly unaware of it. She was also pretty excitable, our second go around in Cyberworld. Her expressions from yesterday to today being night and day. But I never saw any of it as a bad thing. To be honest, it only made her out to be more awesome to hang around with. It made these journeys worth it half the time, with it still stunting any sort of enjoyment I get from them. Hanging out with Susie made nearly all of it worth it, even if it technically wasn't me. I'm glad we're friends. Same goes for Noelle, obviously. Still, if she thought any of this was real, she probably wouldn't handle it too well. It was one decision I was happy it made, along with Susie. There was never any reason why Noelle and I stopped. We just sort of did. A silent agreement of sorts that made us slowly grow apart from one another. One part of me wants to say it was because her dad going a bit sick, while another wants me to say it was whenever Des decided to leave. It might be both. What Rousey said shook me to my core as I finally had the chance to take it all in, even if just internally. I just hope push never came to shove. I still don't know its intentions, and whether or not it is willing to risk the world's destruction for an endless joyride in Dark World. The scarier part is whether or not I would stop it, or at least try to. And if that's what I want, and if that, and that's if I wanted to. I snapped back to Susie, asking me if I was okay again as we walked around hometown. And I mean, really okay. I was already exhausted from fighting for control once, and I just let it speak for me. I knew I wasn't going to win this exchange. Susie looked skeptical. She looked like she wanted to press the issue further, but seemingly decided against it last minute. A subtle grumble escapes her before she continued. If you say so, Chris. I'll see you tomorrow, yeah? A forced nod is given. She smiles in response with a very toothy grin. Good. A leader needs their fighter, right? I smile internally at the remark. She always managed to make me smile, even if she couldn't see it. She firmly pats my shoulder before speaking one final time, her voice holding a certain tone that even I managed to catch despite being so clouded from being forced into the deeper chambers of my body. I'll see you later, dude. And with that, we parted ways as Susie left to wherever her home is, as I neared my own. It wasn't late, but certainly a bit later than I probably should have. No thanks to it, of course. As soon as I opened the door, Mom rushed over with a somewhat authoritative stance. Chris, goodness, I nearly came outside to look for you myself. What kept you out for so long? A warmth enveloped me as she continued to prattle on about my well-being. As much as I thought that she was being overbearing, I loved her for it. Mom was always so patient and caring to me, even when sometimes I probably didn't deserve it. Frankly, I didn't deserve her much at all. She was too good to me. Irritatingly, it kept me as emotionless as ever as Mom continued to worry about where I've been. Were you playing with your friends again? Like clockwork, I'm forced to simply nod. Well, I still won't get you in trouble for making friends, but if you plan to stay out later than usual, please do let me know via phone, okay? She then brings me into a strong but soft hug. I love you, dear. I wanted to cry again. Told Andre even harder than what it was. To tell her, too, that I'm not okay. That I loved her just as much, if not more. But I couldn't. Not even an inkling of resistance managed to poke through. I was let go from the comforting embrace as she softly rustled my hair. Now, go get some rest. It's pretty late, and I'm sure you're exhausted from all your little excursions. She softly chortled to herself as she turned on her heels to sit at her cushiony chair, picking up a book while she does so. It seems to follow at that command, and I head upstairs. Entering, I see nothing has changed. Azrael's side of the room remains nearly untouched, along with all of his trophies, while my side remained as desolate as ever. I wondered if Mom ever thought I'd get trophies or medals myself. It would explain the shelves above my bed, albeit vacant as ever. Not sure if I'd expected anything to change, or if I wanted anything to be different anyway. As I felt my body move to turn off the light, though, I felt a surge of power again, much like the night previous. It wasn't permanent. I slowly felt some autonomy return to me as the rising frustration I felt powered my arms to raise in front of me. I managed to tilt my head over at the cage in the red wagon. I hadn't used it properly in years. It's my turn. In a single motion, I dig as deep as I possibly can with my outstretched arm. Every last inch of willpower and frustration being the only reason why I can both tear it out of me for the time being and why I can withstand it. It hurts. A lot. I can barely think straight as I feel as though every fiber of my being is torn apart in every conceivable direction. My teeth having to risk cracking upon one another to stop myself from possibly yelling. The only clear thoughts being one singular want. Getting it out of me. With one final pull, I finally managed to tear it out. I don't even give it the respect it doesn't deserve, and immediately toss it in where into where it belongs. To finally feel how I felt all the times it made me do or say things without my real volition behind anything. In a cage. Trapped. At least for tonight. Despite how much I want it to be forever. That alone would have me exhausted beyond measure. But the events earlier today already had me withered. I barely had the energy to crawl to bed. As I do, I stare at it as it aimlessly roams around its momentary home. I hate it. Because I'm scared I'll have to rely on it. The one thing I've never wanted to do. Getting rid of it should revitalize me. But all it does is slowly make me feel as though I'm being drained of every inch of energy I have. What if I needed to live? Can I live without it? All you gotta do is beg. Then we'll be the one making the calls, Chris. Is it my strings? Will I die if I get rid of it, too? Not only that, if I ever do manage to get rid of it, what if it's the only reason I've gotten as far as I have? What if I've only made the friends I have because of its choices? All my progress, all my connections, what if it's only because of it? I try to brute force my way into sleeping. I thought getting it out of me would calm my mind, at least for tonight. To finally feel everything in its totality, even if it's just the sheets and pillow in my bed. I thought I would be free from its control, even for just a moment. But I only feel more constrained. Notes. Chris isn't okay. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you'll stick around. It's a bumpy ride from here on out. And, in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Amazing art by Zave Draws. You can find them over on Twitter. Do give them a follow if you haven't.
That's gonna get a kudos from me there, big dog.
My mouth was dry.
Your mouth was dry.
My mouth feels dry.
Time to drink water.
Time to drink water.
Time to drink water.
Time to drink water. It's time to drink water.
It's time to drink water.
Time to drink water.
So,
I
now
got
that
a guagua.
some guagua. So, now that you've had chapter 1 read for you, get a little insider with the author, how do you feel?
What you mean?
Just,
About how you read it?
yeah, you think I did it good?
Yeah.
Thanks, man, I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I'm just kind of retarded, you know?
I understand.
This only has 12 kudos. That's a
God.
fucking crying shame. Oh, it's
Brother.
14 minutes into the next day. Okay, well, as of February 19th, 2025, this only has 12 kudos and 100 hits and 6 bookmarks. Fucking change that.
Nah, I don't feel like it.
This is good. I liked it. It's got some interesting stuff going on. Also, where the fuck was it? Oh yeah, the cruisy. We like cruisy in this household.
Yeah. Here, hold on. Give me 1 second.
Uh-oh. Are you about to DM me something that I'm not gonna put in the video?
No. No, I'm posting the artwork in BC.
Oh yeah, the one that Zave draw. How
Yeah.
do you pronounce it?
Say.
Say?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I will. That's some good artwork. Boy looked like he going through some shit.
Hey, wait, hold on. Can I ask? Was that the moment when you did like the pseudo Spamton voice? Was that part of the fic, or was that just
It's
you
part
doing
of
a
the fic.
voice?
That's part of the thing.
I mean,
Okay.
if I really wanted to, I could. Where the fuck is it? It's near the end, anyways. All you gotta do is big. Then we'll be the one making the calls. Chris? It's probably the best I could do for that. I'm just not good at a Spampton.
You can
This
probably stutter
is a certain
since I know you don't.
graviton.
Alright, well, with that being all settled, that's my boy Ace's stuff. I hope you liked it. I hope you give it a read
I hate.
yourself. You
I
shut
hated
your
it.
fucking mouth. No one cares.
I hated it.
Nah, it's speak. Shut up.
Hey, go look up Coffee Break for the Snoot Game community.
Downvote it, please.
Downvote it. Call him a shit ass.
Make
Yeah,
sure to
call it.
put disregard. Disregard.
Yeah, disregard,
Wait, no,
disregard,
wait.
disregard.
Wait, no, don't do that. I advise that you be shitting on me by default, by proxy.
Uh,
My
uh,
proxy.
fuck.
Well,
Hold
oh
on.
yeah, but you know what? You still made some spelling errors.
Go fuck yourself. Never mind. Downvote the shit. Kill everything. Hang this motherfucker by jumper cables.
I want this Nigel hung by jumper cables.
I have the vote
I,
right here.
I've
I,
just dated
I
this
want this
fucking
neighbor.
fit.
I
Oh
want
shit.
this neighbor. Hang about 5 jumper cables.
Oh my god.
Chris, are you a neighbor?
Y'all have fun. Fuck out of here.